My name is still Aleja Adebowale, and it's probably the best, not probably the best sporting show in the whole of the universe. Is New Total Sport, proudly sponsored by Bukezo Glam, the way to glam up, get all your bling blings and all the rest. And of course, hopefully, we'll be hearing on the Queen TV on Amazon and Fire Stick for anybody that wants to watch us later series. And of course, we are still on YouTube and anywhere else that you can take off that you can get your podcast from. I have the amazing Lawela with me today, and I have Sheyi, I call him Edwin Vadasa, Saburi Olali, I call him Celeste Babayaro. I want to start with you, Olali. Introduce yourself for the fans at home. Starting with Olawale, I want Olawale to introduce himself to the fans, but I believe Olawale is going there for a sec. Shay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, sports fans around the world, welcome to this week's show. And I'm very sure you've enjoyed the sporting week so far, so good. The English Premier League hotting up. I think City is back in front, even though the Gunners will be playing, I think, tomorrow to regain top spot again. But as it is, the honors is on Arsenal to keep chasing Chelsea, to keep chasing City to the end of the league. Welcome to the show. All this will be dissected later.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. Shay, Olali, go ahead, please, and introduce yourself. Olali, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good day, sporting fans around the world. Come to discuss the race to the top four in the Premier League is eating up. The NBA playoff is getting more and more interesting. We
All right, perfect. For some strange reason, I can't hear Olali properly there, but I believe Olali is introducing himself. Olali, I like to call him the sports grandmaster, and of course, this is still the amazing show, New Sisters to Sport, and of course, we'll be discussing a whole lot of things today. We'll start with the NBA, and I believe Olali is back with me. It's Game 7. Game 7 between the Kings and the Golden State Warriors. Nobody saw this coming. If you ask me personally, I felt the Kings were riding on adrenaline, and of course, when it gets to the playoff season, it's going to be a different ball game, especially against the Golden State Warriors. Olale, after the first couple of games, and we saw the way the Sacramento Kings pushed themselves up. Game 5 was 3-2 up. We thought the Golden State Warriors would be able to wrap that up at home against the Kings, but they could not. 3-3 stands right now, and this is Game 7. And right now, it seems like anybody's game. I believe Kachi last week said it's going to be the Kings' game to win. If the Kings' game to lose, if they can take the game to 3-3. Do you agree with what Kachi said last week, or you think the experience of the Golden State Warriors will be too much? Olali, I believe Olali is having a little bit of issue with his microphone. For me personally, I think the Golden State Warriors are still going to win. Last time I checked, it's still 51-51 right now. Olali, if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. It's still 51-51 right now. Last time I checked, but I think the experience of the Golden State Warriors might be too much for the Sacramento Kings, especially when the push come to shove at the end of the day. And of course, the Grizzlies got, I know Larry doesn't want to talk about this, but definitely I'll talk about this. They got a dose of their arrogance and finding the ways forced by Ja Morant a couple of months ago. Then we had Brooks telling uh, LeBron James that he's too old, and if he cannot drop 40, then he's out of the game. You know what I'm saying? And he came back to haunt, saying the last game, which is game 6, that eventually did qualify the Brooklyn Nets for the next round, was won by a whooping 40 points, 128-85. That's the Grizzlies could only manage on the night. It was crazy, if you ask me. And sometimes, and Shea, I'm going to come to you on this one. Sometimes arrogance does not really pay, especially if you cannot walk the talk. The Grizzlies, super talented set of kids, if you ask me, but they could not walk the talk, and it's going to go down in history, like you trash talking other people when you don't even have an achievement to point towards. Shay.
Yes, definitely, Debo. When it comes to sports, the best thing for you is to actually walk the talk. You can trash talk as much as you like. You can, like to put the fear into your opponent. That's allowed, but you must actually come out with a performance to show that you know what you are doing, and that is key for yourself, for your team, and also for the game. So if you end up losing after trash talking, obviously
Yeah.
you should expect that the whole house is going to come down on you.
crumble down on you. Yeah, and
Definitely, and I think that was the case of the Grizzlies.
yeah, and LeBron went on social media on his IG to say, "I'm in the bush right now against the Grizzlies. Call the cops or call for help for the Bears." It's just crazy. At the end of the day, I feel LeBron actually did vindicated himself. He left the arena before the game was over. Olale, I know you don't want to talk about this. I'm not going to ask you any question about that. But thank God that you're back. And of course, the not so amazing one, which I'm paying on my matchup. I thought the Bucks were going to win this championship this year, basically because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. But Giannis got injured. He came back. The game management was not so good. At the end of the day, they lost against the Heat. You know, and that shot by Jimmy Butler, I don't know how the Bucks allowed that to happen. But of course, where was the game lost on the night for the Bucks? Balali.
Yeah. Thank you, Debo. I think I would rather I want to take a look at it from where was the series lost by the Memphis, but sorry, by the Milwaukee Bucks. Number one, I think the injury to Giannis in game 1 really affected whatever the Bucks
Game
planned to
plan.
do during the series. Uh, it couldn't finish game 1. It was out of game 2, game 3. So he came back in game 4. By the time he came back in game 4, uh, the Milwaukee Bucks were already 2-1 down in the series. They were already 2-1 down in the series, and the game 4
Solo.
was
Yeah.
played in Miami. And again, for the fact that he was out in those first few games, I think there was this self belief that probably the it just discovered from nowhere, and at that point, it became a little bit
It's
of,
playoff.
what do you call
It's
it?
playoff Jimmy Olali. It's playoff Jimmy. Playoff Jimmy.
And playoff Jimmy just took over game 4. I think he had 56 points, which I think was the highest by any Miami Heat player in the
Uh-huh.
playoffs. And considering the fact that LeBron James played in Miami, Dwayne Wade played
In
in
Miami.
Miami,
Uh-huh.
that tells you a lot about that performance. But I think going to game 5, where most people expected Milwaukee to win, I think the question around that time was, can Jimmy Butler replicate the performance of game 4 in game 6?
Game.
That is,
Game
people were already assuming that they were going to lose game 5, what do you call it, in Milwaukee, but they had other plans.
Market.
On the part of Milwaukee Bucks, I think their manager was a bit naive about about the way it's set up its team to play. Number one, with the way Jimmy Butler cooked them in game 4 and the way he was already cooking them in game 5. I was expecting a bit of adjustment or probably double team Jimmy Butler, let other guys beat him. We didn't see that. Some of his game calls, the last shot that they missed, that the timeout expired on Pat Covington.
Yeah.
They actually have a timeout that he could have called to advance the ball beyond the half court and to be able to strategize who takes the last shot. But again, he allowed that to, what do you call it? He allowed
to go to waste
play, and the Heat were able to defend them very well. But I think they were on another side, as much as, what do you call it, Giannis Antetokounmpo, as much as a lot of people believe he's the best player in the world, what probably is still holding a lot of pundit back, giving him such what do you call it, crown
title.
I think he missed like I think it was 7 from 13. I think 7 from 13 or 14 from the free throw line. In such a game that you need to win, you can't shoot 45-50% from free throw line. As the best player of the team, if your team cannot go to you for the last play to save your season, it's a bit of an indictment on the limitations on your game. In as much as we've seen him over the years trying to work on his jump shot, but it is still a major concern.
Question mark. Yeah. Needs to be addressed.
What do you call it, right? So if taking a look at it, it's a whole blood of. I think the first major thing that actually affected them was the Giannis injury. But again, Coach Bud, I think, made a lot of questionable calls. If you recall the series where they defeated in 2021 when they won the championship, even when they defeated the the Brooklyn Nets in the second round.
Yeah.
We had a lot of questionable calls, but they were very fortunate that Kyrie Irving and James Harden were injured in that series.
All right.
It would have been a different ball game entirely.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that, Olale. It's a big disappointment for Giannis. Giannis, I love you, and I feel you are not a failure. And the season was not a failure. It's not your fault that you're injured. You take care of yourself. You are one of the best basketballers in the whole wide world right now. Respectable guy from humble background as well. Olale, next one would be the 76ers versus the Celtics. Immediately, the Bucks went out of the title chase. The percentage for the Celtics winning this year's NBA championship skyrocketed, right? And they're going to be playing against the 76ers. Unfortunately for them, or should I say, presumably be favorable for them, is the fact that your Embiid might not be playing the first game 1, might not be playing, note that word. And if he does not, that's a big game changer for the 76ers. Aiden and Max Tyrese is not going to be able to coordinate and help them maximally as if Embiid is on the court. That gives the Celtics the chance for game 1, and this is going to be happening at the Garden as well. So even if Embiid is playing, they probably will not win anyways. But who are you calling this tie for, and in how many games?
This series has the potential of going as far as game 7, to be honest with you. During the regular season, I think both teams were able to record victories in their matchups. For me, I think the Celtics have a little bit of the edge over Philadelphia. They've been there, and they've been to like 5 conference finals in like 6 years. They were in the NBA finals last year when they lost to the defending champions, the Golden State Warriors. I think they look formidable, but even doing this, even doing the playoff in the first round against Atlanta, the challenge I have with the Celtics at times is they could beat themselves. The Atlanta series shouldn't have gotten to game 6. The Boston Celtics have wrapped it up in game 5, but for whatever reason, they blew almost a 19-point lead to allow. So that's my concern for them.
They can improve.
and yeah, they implode and they end up beating themselves. On the part of Philadelphia, I think for them to have any chance of winning this series, James Harden will have to be very consistent. He has to bring we
Eight
have to
game every
see it
night.
8 games every night, like every night, because Joel Embiid it will not be enough. Tyrese Maxey will do what he could, but we need to see. But it might not be the James Harden of what we say of Houston Rockets, but at least something
Yes,
close to that.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, because the
Mhm.
truth is we have to admit is that James Harden has slowed down, and that is why his game of recent has been more of a facilitator rather than that dominant scorer, that guy that
Dominant
records
scorer,
a
yeah.
triple double every night when he was
Every
at
night,
Houston
yeah.
Rockets. So for me, I
Mhm.
think and again another thing is for the Celtics, availability of Rob Williams will be very key to them because they
Very
need
key
somebody
for
who could,
defending.
yeah, well, for to defend Joel Embiid, who could slow him down, who could make things difficult for him. If he's not there, that will be a lot of work will be on Al Harford. Is capable, but again, he might get into foul troubles early. But overall, I think the Celtics should be able to close out this series in
They
6.
did it. In 6. Oh wow, that's a huge claim, Malali. I feel personally, for me, if you ask me, I'll say in 7. The only reason why I agree with you in 6 is if Embiid is not available. If Embiid is available, I don't, like you said, they could self implode. I remember a couple of their games against the Golden State Warriors, and I'm like,
Even Miami
okay,
Heat,
you
before they
even
go to the
exactly,
final.
like, yeah, like you guys are, like, how do you do that? Sometimes they come out all gun blazing, defeating the
Like after
Milwaukee
first
Bucks.
quarters, they
Like,
just don't know. They will
yeah,
just switch off.
switch off. Anyways, moving on, it's going to be the Nuggets one game up against the Sun, and this is actually funny because the Sun, people are actually looking up to the Sun to do something um spectacular. Everybody expect them to be in the finals at the very at least most people expect them to be in the finals at the very least. But we've discussed this on the show before, and we talked about being seen. Like the squad is being seen. The squad is seen, as a matter of fact. The they have the talents on court, but who are the guys that will come in to help them when the chips are down or for the longevity of it? And that's what we saw against the Denver Nuggets in game 1. Booker still doing his thing. Like, he dropped 47 points. KD doing his thing, dropping 27 points as well. It looks amazing individually for them, but it was just team. And I don't know, what should they be focusing on to actually ensure that this series is closed up as fast as
Now,
possible?
Debo, let me tell you one major concerning. Like you rightly said, the major concern for the Phoenix Suns going to this series has always been the depth of their squad. But like a friend of mine, Coyote, told me last week, is that at times when you get to the playoff series, at times the squad rotation is probably limited to 8 players at most for most teams. They don't really expand their rotation to like 10, 12 players. Surprisingly, yesterday, the Denver Nuggets played only 8 players yesterday. Why? What do you call it? Sorry, they play more than, but they gave only 8 players played more than 13 points. So guys like Ish Smith, Peyton Watson, Reggie Jackson, they only came in the last 3 minutes of the game when the Denver Nuggets felt that the game was already secure.
Was
So which
one,
means
yeah.
technically they played only 8 players, which is the same thing as, what do you call it, as the Suns. And the major problem I think for the Suns looking at the game yesterday was too many ISO ball. You don't see a lot of ball movement. And looking at the guys that comes off the bench for them, Lauren Shamat, Torrey Craig, and Josh Okogie.
Uh-huh.
My concern is, are those 3 the best they could afford? There's a TJ Warren that was part of the deal that brought KD to, what do you call it, to the Suns. I've not seen it for him, not even in the regular season. There is Tyrese Rose, who is capable of scoring. I think their coach will have to do a little of mixing up his what do you call it, his rotation, and they need to be very aggressive. They allowed the Nugget to have some easy shots, and surprisingly, Joker didn't have an exceptional game yesterday, and that becomes very worrisome. They need to come up with a scheme to probably as in to make it difficult for this team uh for
For the to the Devon of
for the
Gates.
Nuggets. And the Andrew 80 has to accept that he can't be the focal point in this team. They will need him not probably for scoring 20 points, 15 points like that. Yes, double digits will be good, but they need him to anchor the defense. They need him to protect the rim. There is a KD, there's a Devin Booker, there's a Chris Paul to
CP3.
anchor the offense. They need to be aggressive in their defending, and he has to be the one to lead.
To lead us.
And
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Olale. And for the game between the Miami Heat and the Knicks, how do you think this is going to shape up? 7 games or 6? Someone said the bubble was not by chance. What we are
what
saying
I
of
saw
the
from the
Heat
Miami
and the
Heat today,
Uh-huh.
the issue with the Miami Heat is what I can see experience all over the place. From the game one today, unlike the series against the Cavaliers, when the New York Knicks enjoyed a lot of success in the paint, it is not the same thing today. The Miami Heat made it extremely difficult. Like Hachi said, they are in the production cup. They will probably need, what do you call him? This is a big man. What's his name? They rather need him back. No, Bamba Adebayo. I mean the New York Knicks.
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle, yeah, they will need Julius Randle back. But again, Julius Randle still have a way of disappearing in some games. I just think for Knicks to win this series, they will need to probably let me say they will need to probably start very good, as in very well. They will probably establish like 15 point, 16 point lead, because as long as they are into a close game with the Miami Heat, the Miami Heat is full of experienced guys. Jimmy Butler is there. There's a Kyle Lowry who is the former champion with Toronto. They have a Kevin Love now who played like three finals with the Cleveland Cavaliers against what do you call it? So they have experience, they have depth in their team, and they have what do you call it? The coach who is probably one of the best in the NBA when it comes to reacting to the way his opponent plays. I'm a bit disappointed with the New York Knicks with the way they played their last 5 minutes today. Jimmy Butler was injured. With Miami playing like 4.5 players, they find it difficult to get a stop in the last 5 minutes. At the same time, they did not attack Jimmy Butler enough. I expect them to attack Jimmy Butler when he was on virtually one leg. That would have probably put him in more foul trouble or even basket for the player who is playing against him. But unfortunately, they didn't do that, and they paid for it. And
so are you calling Miami for this one in 7?
I'm calling Miami for this one probably at most in 6.
In 6. Oh wow, that's amazing. Anyways, I go with you on that one. I'll say in 6 as well. Miami. Sheyi, I'm gonna come to you now. Joshua has been touting himself for a game against who else, but the guy that they call Jonathan Wilder. How do you think? Do you think this is going to happen, or this is just an trick off our shoulders to make us elevate, and it's never going to see the light of the day?
I think we can never say, and to be candid, I think both fighters need a blockbuster. To be candid, to approach the top echelon. What's it called? A zenith again, because they actually need that chance to challenge for the title again. They are former champions, and you can't say it is over for them. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Deontay Wilder returned to the bout fighting Elenius, who is also not a top boxer.
Top,
So
not an A
yeah,
listed or B
ex-
listed.
exactly, knocked him out in the first round. And Joshua was also returned to the bout, I think earlier this month or late last month, back to the bout with a win over Franklin, which was not really convincing. So for both fighters, they actually need something strong. However, I know Eddie Hearn, who is the producer of, who is the manager of
Anthony
Joshua,
Joshua
has been touting Dylan White as the next bout for Anthony
for
Joshua.
AJ.
We're actually looking at in the summer thereabout, maybe around July, August thereabout. I think that is much more
Visible.
likely compared to the Deontay Wilder. But Joshua actually said this by himself. He confirmed this, that they are actually looking at fighting in December,
Talking,
and
yeah.
he wants to go back to Saudi Arabia to have that that bout. So
Everybody just wants to.
don't
Everybody wants
forget,
to eat the
yeah, Saudi Arabia
Arab
is where,
body
yeah, that's where he took his belt back
and the
from,
rules.
and it seems Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia is also kind of looking like the destination for boxers to go and earn the bag nowadays.
Yeah, the big pay. All right, and of course you said Canelo is going back into the ring against John Ryder. This should be an easy one for Canelo, if I'm not mistaken, of course.
Yeah. I want to believe so. And also look at it, Canelo needs to stay active. He's already a champion, an undisputed champion in the super middleweight division.
Division.
And once you are a champion like that, you need to stay active. John
Uh-huh.
Ryder is the interim WBO champion, so he has the right to step into the stage to fight for the championship. However, I think this is just going to be a kind of walkover. Canelo has beaten, I think the last two losses for John Ryder is against fellow British boxers Callum
Okay.
Smith and Billy Joe Saunders. On the way to being undisputed for Canelo, he actually dispersed these two fighters. So
These two
obviously
fighters.
you can measure both fighters and
The
say
matchup, yeah,
this is
yeah,
going to be a
yeah.
walkover for Canelo. Also, if you even look at their experience, Canelo has 62 fights under
Bouts,
his belt. This
belt.
guy
Wow.
has, I think, 37 thereabouts. So if you look at the difference, the experience, and also,
It's
the people the pedigree, basically.
the quality of the fighters they fought against is
Exactly.
quite
You can say this is a walkover for
huge,
Canelo.
huge,
And I
huge
actually think
surprise.
the big one we should be looking forward to. The fans want Canelo against Benavides. That's the mouth-watering one. But Canelo himself actually feels he was not 100% ready the day
Ready,
he lost to Dimitri Bivol. So there's a possibility that we'll be seeing Canelo
very
before
much.
the end of this year.
Okay, all right, perfect. Anyways, that's it for us on the other sports. We'll go on a quick break right now, and when we come back, we'll be jumping straight into the world of football or soccer, as you guys might call it. Don't go anywhere, guys.